glimpse into the San Marzanos. It's been raining non-stop for about the better part of 2 weeks. So luckily the San Marzanos are not splitting. The cherry tomatoes are all splitting, but these are looking beautiful, just basically perfect. That one was a little bit orange. This one is about as nice looking as tomatoes you'll get. And this is a Dr. Wyche's yellow tomato. This is the second one I've picked. The first one I had earlier in a caprese salad. It was 1.1 pounds. This one's a lot smaller, but still looks really good. There's one little spot right there. I hope there's nothing too disgusting in there. Over here, see what I've picked so far. It's just the tomatoes in a little basket. Looking through there, there's so many tomatoes that I'm actually building a kind of an extension grabber to be able to get back in there and grab some of these that are, you know, back up in their little ways. So hopefully there'll be more to this video coming later on, but I just needed to get out here and grab some of these quick before the next set of rains come. So I'm inside now, and here's the bag that's absolutely just chock full of tomatoes. I don't know how much that weighs, but I'd say close to, I don't know, 15 or 20 pounds. And here's some harvest from before that has been laid out beautifully. That tomato I need to use. But you can see how beautiful that harvest is. Over you can see where a lot of my other tomatoes have ended up. I'm making a big, I don't know, 5 or 8 quart pot full of tomato sauce. Smells fantastic. Hey folks, this is Jason. I'm giving another garden update and got a lot of things that have happened. The tomatoes have kind of gotten unruly, got behind on pruning them, but also like this midnight snack got so heavy that it actually literally snapped the twine that was holding it. Several times the trellis has gotten so heavy that, especially over here, the horizontal support has kind of disconnected and it fell down, and so I've kind of had to prop that back up and come up with another solution to hold it in place, which I don't know if you can see, but I have put a screw in through each of those connections, which has helped. On the other hand, things continue to grow extremely well. The cherry tomatoes are just going bonkers. In fact, you know, you can also see the sunflowers are looking glorious over here, although they've fallen down. We've had several strong winds and I had to put a rope to kind of tie them back up against the wall, but you can see I've got pretty red ones and just a mass of blooms up there, and then of course the perennials are looking fantastic as well. Kind of smothering out the herbs that are over there, and then on the back side here we've got the shishitos are pretty productive, and these tomatoes have stopped being decimated by the dogs, and there's some in there, but I don't know, I think I need to fertilize those again. Speaking of dogs, there's Eli. He is the master tomato thief, and he doesn't mind you knowing that. In fact, the dogs actually pushed into the fence right in here, this chicken wire. I didn't have it supported, so I've gotten some bamboo stakes and kind of supporting that more. Although they have trampled one of the cone flowers over here. But there's so many cherry tomatoes, it's actually grown up to the top of the wall, and it's up by the fence up there, which is fine because they're going to keep growing. In here though, you can see tons of ripe tomatoes, lots of splitting on these. This is supposedly the Cosmos, although I'm not so sure if that's Cosmos. I think that might be Amethyst Jewel, but there's still tons of them, and you can see one that's been eaten down there. But at any rate, the production has been good. I've gotten quite a bit of blossom end rot in the tomatoes in general, but I still had so many that were making tons of tomato sauce. The peppers also were producing, had a lot. I mean, really, honestly, I've been really disappointed in the peppers because I've had so much blossom end rot like that. Pretty much all of my peppers have had that. I've had a little bit of production of peppers, but you've got tons of that going on. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could use that for a green pepper, but I don't. When you get into those, a lot of times they're, and here's a number of them that I've pulled off. A lot of times when you get into those like that, the insides are not really tasty or delicious, as opposed to getting a nice fresh one. These poblanos are looking beautiful. Got several in there, a good size, but not as many as I'd hoped, but I've had a fair amount of flower production. So I think we're finally getting into a point where this thing, which is, gosh, it's 5 feet tall, maybe a little taller, and it's actually drowning out the light for these Amethyst Jewel back here. I mean, it's crazy, but it's, you know, doing well as far as growth. Now it's just got to put out more peppers. You look in here, and we've got, see, these are, see, this side is amethyst. It's supposed to be Amethyst Jewel, but I think this looks more like, to me, either the Dark Galaxy or Cosmos. So I wonder if I didn't mislabel the tomatoes. These are the Persuasion, and they have done fantastically. I've got a ton of those tomatoes off. There's one right here. Oh, no, that's that one. This is a mini bell pepper. Had yellow ones and red ones so far. Harvested a bunch of the super chilies. There's still more in there. Again, this plant has not been bad about the blossom end rot, but the one over there has had a ton of blossom end rot, and I've just been throwing those down, but still got quite a few peppers off of that. And the same, I've harvested some cow horns, still getting a lot of jalapenos, although I've got them mostly harvested right now, and so it may be hard to see. There's a few in there, but it's not like it was before. But I've been letting them get pretty good size. Back over to this side, I've harvested pretty much all of the Black Magic jalapenos. Those things were real stubby but thick. These Craig's Grande have all been like really huge. I mean, they're almost the size of a Corny del Toro. You can see, you know, that's probably 3.5 inches long and 1.5 inches wide at the top, almost 2 inches. Some of them have been right at 2 inches. These Persuasion tomatoes have been fantastic. I mean, they're delicious, and they have a nice flavor just all around. Not too many of those have been blossom end rotted like that, but there have been some. These Atomic Sunset have all kind of started ripening at the same time. This is almost acting like a determinate tomato. And so I am not so sure that that's not a determinate tomato, even though it's supposed to be closely related to the Brad's Atomic Grape. We have loved the Brad's Atomic Grape, which is on the other side. Oh, but before we talked about that, let's talk about these pastillas. We got 4 huge pastillas off. I'll show them in a photo. But I'm planning on smoking those and turning them into seasoning. San Marzano. The San Marzanos are coming in. You can see a bunch of them there. That's the Verona F1s. This is back over to the Persuasion. I think that one may have blossom end rot, yeah. So that's disappointing, but it is what it is. You can still see a ton of these midnight snacks, and they are fantastic and delicious. They do split a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as the Sun Golds or the Norwood Miners even. These things split a ton. So they have a little bit, even though their skin doesn't taste all that thick when you're eating them, the tomatoes just don't split that much. And on the other side of the fence here, again, you can see we've got plenty more. I mean, even though I harvested a bunch of these already today, I could probably come in and get some more. And then I've got, there's some kind of critter that got that one. There's not been too many that look like they've been eaten by anything other than ants and slugs. I've harvested a bunch of these Federleys, and they're fantastic paste tomatoes. I've had a number of this Solar Flare, a bunch of triple crops. The triple crops have been fantastic, and I need to go back up and get these trained back up. The one thing that's evident about the Brad's Atomic Grape is that next year I will be growing more of those. Everyone in the family has pretty much decided that's their favorite, and I have to agree. I mean, the other tomatoes are fantastic, and there's nothing like a big old tomato sandwich with one of those triple crops, which is a nice pink tomato, or even the Dr. Wychees. But for making a caprese, and even for salsa, I made a tricolor salsa that was fantastic with Brad's Atomic Grape, the Atomic Sunset, and some Veronas. So they were the red, yellow, and green, along with some peppers and garlic. All of that was from my garden and was just absolutely delicious. So this is probably going to be a shorter video, although I'll try to put in some photos and some other pictures from the week to kind of fill this out. But I think it's evident that the trellis is kind of losing the battle, and we're still yet to have half the season. So I think we're still going to have plenty of tomatoes throughout this. We'll start giving some to the neighbors, and we've been making sauce and freezing it in quart-sized bags, which has been pretty good so far, and might even can some here in the next week or so. Hope you all are having a great week. Talk to you in about a week or so.